With the recent injuries to Carolina Panthers wide receivers Chark, Terrace Marshall Jr., and Laviska Shenault, it is becoming more and more apparent just how much depth we are in fact lacking in our wide receiver room. So in this video, I'm going to discuss a few options that the Carolina Panthers have to fill that void and one potential vet that I think could come in and solve a lot of these problems, and we're going to get into all of that right after this.
I'm from the foe. You dig?
Welcome to The Way I See It with Jamario Rashad. This is a Carolina Panthers fan channel. Please do me a favor by hitting the like button, and please make sure you subscribe as I am on my road to 3K, trying to make sure my channel continues to grow before these games get started in less than 3 weeks now. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the rest of the video. So the dilemma that we are facing right now as Carolina Panthers fans and in Carolina Panthers Nation we are aware of just how flimsy in terms of injuries and how short in depth our wide receiver room is. We have our top guys, be it Adam Thielen, who is the oldest but seems to be the most healthy over the last few years. We have the likes of a Jonathan Mingo that is a wild card, that is a rookie that we expect good things from. But outside of those two top guys that we have right now, every single one of the other three guys that we would have considered in the top 5 on this roster are injured and do have somewhat of an injury history, specifically looking at the likes of a Chark and Terrace Marshall Jr. And unfortunately right now we have Laviska Shenault, who is also under concussion protocol, and we will see how he bounces back after sustaining the absence that he is about to have to go through. So with all of this being the case, we've seen throughout these preseason games that we do not have much depth at that wide receiver position whatsoever. We recently cut the likes of a Gary Jennings, which was a guy that I actually like what I saw through camp and preseason from him. We still have Shi Smith, Derek Wright on the roster, but these names that are on the tail end of the depth chart are not really ones that will move the needle. So I do expect for a lot of these guys to be cut. And with these guys being released, that means that we do have to bring in new guys that will hopefully bring us better production in their same positions. So there's a few different ways you can go about that. You can continue to survey the free agent market that you have been doing, or that we have been doing over the last few months, to see who are the ones that are still out there. Do we have any young guys that may have just not caught on? Do we have any older players, any vet guys, any proven players that just haven't found a new home later on in the stages of their careers that they are at now? There are a lot of different ways that you can go about it, but it can usually be broken down into two separate schools of thought. You have the vets, and then you have the young guys who are mostly seen as guys who are going to be waived over the next few days. So if you were to ask me my opinion, I would first say in terms of the vet route, I have one guy in mind, and this may be a little bit controversial, and I understand, because people are going to be in the comment section bringing up his injury history, which is something that I 100% understand. But I do ask that if you are a Carolina Panthers fan that complained about just how bad Baker Mayfield was for us last year, that you do show some grace to the production of a guy like Jarvis Landry, who played with him for more than 2 or 3 seasons. So his production over the last 5 years has seen an impact from Baker Mayfield, just like we saw our offense take last year, or have last year. So please keep that in mind. Now, Jarvis Landry is a 4-time Pro Bowler with 7,870 career receiving yards, and even though he's been on the downswing, his overall production has been ticking down over the last 2 to 3 seasons. If you still look at his career averages, despite having 2 down years back-to-back because of injury and because of subpar QB play, Jarvis Landry is still, at this point in his career, 9 seasons in, averaging 875 yards per season as a wide receiver. So even though he is perceived to be in the back half of his career, with the likes of a Bryce Young, with the likes of the offensive minds, of a Frank Reich, with the Thomas Brown, and with all of this offensive infusion that we have in this current coaching staff that we are employing and deploying on the field right now, I can only imagine that Jarvis Landry will be able to recapture some of that magic that he has been able to display over the first 9 years of his career. And also, with a guy like Odell Beckham Jr. sustaining injuries that were so much more significant than the knee and ankle sprains that Jarvis has been dealing with, those lingering injuries over the last 2 years, it is still perceived that Odell Beckham, after 2 torn ACLs, can come back and still be an effective wide receiver. So I don't see why the likes of a Jarvis Landry, who of course has not seen the heights of a Odell Beckham Jr., but he has been more consistent than Odell. I believe he deserves that same grace, and then in just assuming that he could get back to at least kind of where he used to be. He is entering this season only being about 30 years old, with the likes of, like I said, Gary Jennings getting cut, Damiere Byrd being out for the season, him getting his injury settlement, Shi Smith potentially being on the bubble to make the roster. Bringing in a veteran guy the likes of a Jarvis Landry could only do good things for this offense. I don't believe that he will come in and command too many snaps. I don't believe that he will take away from the guys that are young in development and still need to gain experience. But experience is the most important thing that he is going to be bringing to the locker room. As I mentioned, he is 9 seasons into his career. He has 2 separate playoff appearances. He's played in 3 playoff games, and he has been excellent, averaging over 70 yards per game in the playoffs in his 3 appearances. So Jarvis Landry has been there, done that, and just like Adam Thielen, aside from just the skills that he will be able to bring to the team, is the experience, the knowledge that he will be able to instill in our young guys, and just bringing that to the locker room and bringing that experience, as I said, will be tremendously valuable. Now, there are other guys on the market that will probably, that arguably can bring the same thing. You look at maybe a Julio Jones, who is like significantly older but still more accomplished. So I'm not saying Jarvis is the only guy out there, but Jarvis would be the guy that I chose to look at if we did let to go the veteran route. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, or the next option that I want to discuss, is more so in my eyes seen to me as the lottery of this portion of the season, of this portion of free agency, of this portion of team building. I believe there is going to be a lot of talent over the next couple of days that are unfortunately waived and released from these teams. But you would be a fool, and we all would be a fool, to just assume that because these men and women that are in position with these teams get paid to make these evaluations of these players, that they are always going to be correct. This is the part of the year that you could find what I like to call the diamonds in the rough, because they have been waived or just weren't appreciated by other teams. You could either find them being waived, or you can either just get them dirt cheap on the trading block. We've seen the likes of a first rounder in Isaiah Simmons get traded for a 7th rounder just the other day to go to a very good team in the New York Giants. So around this time of the year, those things tend to happen. In terms of in-house happenings, if you just turn back the calendar 2 years ago to right about this time of the year, we had brought in linebacker Denzel Perryman after the retirement of Luke Kuechly, because we had a hole in the middle of our defense. And before the year even started, we traded Denzel Perryman to the Las Vegas Raiders, who in turn, when he arrived there, had 154 tackles that year and became a Pro Bowler. And we traded him away for a 7th round pick. I only bring those things up to say we are not the only organization that has mismanaged things, that have made mistakes. And this is the time of the year that we can look and we can canvas out. We can just see what is out there, what all these other teams are doing. There is going to be an influx of talent. We should definitely look at the guys that are getting cut from these contending teams, the teams that are just loaded at a particular position, whether it be pass rusher, cornerback, all of these things that we still need to build out this roster. This is the time of the year that we definitely can find those pieces. It doesn't take camp. All it takes is a good evaluation, because a baller is a baller, man. But what do you all think, or how do you all think we should go about this? Of course, we need some wide receivers. We definitely need somebody to come in, sure up the room, bring us some depth, bring some more experience. But how would you all go about bringing in this player? Would you prefer that we bring in a veteran, the likes of a Jarvis Landry, a been there, done that, an experienced guy? You already see what a 33-year-old Adam Thielen has been able to do with the likes of a Bryce Young, just simply because of the experience, and he knows how to do it. He is still an excellent route runner. Would you like a guy like that, who may not necessarily have that many more years on the back half of his career, or would you like to take a chance on an unknown that could potentially be a boom or bust that we could get on the from the waiver wire, or for a dirt cheap trade, man? I'm not saying either one is better than the other, but I would say both of these options are better than keeping what we have in house, man. So whatever you all think, leave your comments down in the comments section, and I will be sure to chop it up with you there. But until next time, I am Jamario Rashad. This is the way I see it, and I'm out. Peace.